Modern inclusive education policy began in 1994 with the UNESCO Salamanca Statement. This document established the global principle that schools must accommodate all children, regardless of physical, intellectual, or linguistic conditions. In 2006, this principle became a binding legal obligation through Article 24 of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. 185 ratifying states are now legally required to provide effective, individualized support within inclusive systems. The mandate was further refined in 2015 by UN Sustainable Development Goal 4.5, which specifically demands the measurable elimination of gender disparities and equal access for all vulnerable groups. These three pillars created an inescapable legal and moral framework for every sovereign nation that ratified them. However, while the legal obligation is established at the state level, governments have lacked a standardized mechanism to measure and enforce these practices at the individual school level. This is the measurement gap, the disconnect between a nation's broad legal promises and the actual, auditable reality inside a classroom. Educational policymakers face the challenge of verifying compliance across hundreds of institutions without a unified evaluation tool to generate defensible data. IGM-EDU is the specific framework engineered to bridge this gap. Registered with the UAE Ministry of Economy, it operates as the world's first quality classification mark dedicated exclusively to inclusive education. The system functions as a translation engine, converting abstract international mandates into a matrix of 20 measurable, evidence-based substandards. This transformation allows institutions to turn high-level policy into the empirical data that governments and families require. This infographic shows the 9 quality domains that form the top layer of the IGM-EDU architecture. These domains map directly to the specific targets of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. For example, Domain 1 addresses SDG 16, requiring ring-fenced budgets and co-production for transparent governance. Domain 5 enforces SDG 4.5 through equity gap analysis, requiring data proving interventions close disparities. Domain 4 operationalizes SDG 10.2, mandating the removal of structural barriers to participation. By meeting these benchmarks, an institution generates the verified evidence that national governments need for their global UN reporting. While macro policy provides the target, the actual quality of inclusion is determined by classroom-level pedagogy. Because of this, Domain 2, Inclusive Teaching and Learning Design, is the most heavily weighted component of the evaluation, accounting for 25% of the total score. This domain is built upon the CAST Universal Design for Learning guidelines, evaluating 3 neural networks: engagement, representation, and action and expression. This dependency ensures UDL is embedded into the initial lesson design, rather than added as a retrospective modification. Supporting the classroom is an administrative foundation captured in Domains 1 and 6. These domains are strictly aligned with ISO 21001, ensuring that institutional management is learner-focused and evidence-based. This combination of UDL-driven pedagogy and ISO-grade quality management creates a comprehensive, watertight institutional evaluation. A common administrative concern is that new accreditations might lead to regulatory conflict or a duplication of reporting efforts. IGM-EDU is designed to complement rather than compete with existing sovereign education laws. This is achieved through a regulatory alignment protocol, using OECD-endorsed models to integrate standards. At the center is the differential standards principle. Evaluators map the specific national educational mandate against the corresponding IGM-EDU substandard. The system then identifies which of the 2 mandates sets the more rigorous threshold for performance. The institution is only evaluated against that heavier standard, never both. This satisfies local ministry requirements while maintaining the absolute integrity of the international IGM mark. This principle removes the burden of duplicative compliance while ensuring the highest possible threshold for inclusion is maintained. The output of this weighted matrix is a clear public accreditation rating. Based on their score, institutions receive a 3, 4, or 5-star certification. These tiers represent a precision-weighted score, providing a data-driven alternative to subjective inspections. To remain fair across different regions, the framework applies a contextual baseline. This ensures that all institutions are evaluated against the infrastructure and resources actually available in their specific national context. Longitudinal tracking of institutions through the IGM EDU cycle shows that they achieve an average gain of 1.8 points across substandards over an 18-month period. An IGM EDU star badge signifies that an institution is on a verified trajectory of measurable improvement. Accreditation functions as a critical node within the larger national education infrastructure. It provides a standardized external data pipeline for national education authorities. This shows the structured data generation pathway. The disaggregated data produced during an audit serves as verified proof of institutional compliance with CRPD Article 24. This same evidence base allows nations to provide audited data for their SDG 4 and SDG 10 reporting obligations. This closed-loop system finally solves the measurement gap that has historically limited global inclusion policy. IGM EDU transforms the moral and legal aspirations of international inclusion into a mathematically verified operational reality.